and I think he thought, however clever he is, you know, a featherweight's not going to beat me. Why should a cruiserweight, and a small cruiserweight at that?
Pro boxing fans, we are here in Riyadh. It is fight week, the big one, the undisputed Beterbiev versus Bivol. I spoke to you about this fight in London, but we're here. We're only a couple of days away. First of all, Jeff Powell, MBE of the Daily Mail. First of all, how are you, sir? How's things?
I'm fine, thank you. Nice warm, balmy evening. Got you to talk to, all's good.
I like that. Look, let's talk about this fight. Let's break it down a little bit. People are saying that it's a boxer versus a puncher. For you, do you see it that way?
Well, this is a simplistic way of selling it. But what you've got here is a boxer who hasn't got a great punch, and you've got a puncher who can box. People are forgetting that Beterbiev is a very, very good boxer, albeit a different type of boxer. So the clash of styles is not so much these diametric opposites. It's a technical, sort of clever, mobile boxer against the guy who, in my view, is one of the best at quartering the ring and cutting off space and closing distance, which is another very important, highly technical ability. The best at that since the great, original, legendary Julio Cesar Chavez.
With Beterbiev, just talk to me, who does he, because you've been around the sport for a long time, who does he remind you of with his cutting of the ring, you know, with his power, his destructive power? Is there anyone that comes to mind with you over the years?
Well, I just said the cutting off is Chavez. The demeanour and the power is reminiscent of Mike Tyson. Okay. But there's a difference there as well, because Mike could take down the Empire State Building with one punch. Beterbiev is more very heavy-handed. Every shot is hurts and is powerful, but the accumulation of shots to different parts of the head and body are what break people in the end. So it sometimes takes him 8-10 rounds to break people's bones and heart.
They say that resumes can play a part in this as well, and obviously the past fighters have had, obviously Bivol's biggest win has been Canelo and is convincing on the night. Beterbiev has got a very good resume, fought some great fighters in Usyk, our own Anthony Yard, Joe Smith Jr. and others. For you, who do you believe has got the best resume coming up to this fight?
Oh, Beterbiev, without question. I went to this fight against Joe Smith in Madison Square Garden. I mean, it was a massacre, and Smith was world champion at the time, riding the wave. It was a belligerent, aggressive fighter in his own right. Well, I mean, he just got battered for 2.5 rounds and stretched. It was an astonishing performance against a genuinely competitive world champion. He had the fight with Anthony Yard. Yard was in good shape at that point, and he extended him for a while. But of course he took him out, and Yard didn't know what happened to him. And in the end, when he finally went for it, I think it was the 8th. Yeah. And then Callum Smith, who chose to do what Bivol is supposed to be going to do on Saturday night: move, hit and run, don't get involved, don't get engaged. Well, we saw what happened to him, exactly the same after a few rounds. So there are names in it, and their performances. Now, I'm very interested in the Bivol Canelo performance. Canelo was said after the fight, no one seems to agree with me, but I thought I actually edged the fight, and I only gave him 3 or 4 rounds. And unusually for him, if he's had a really difficult fight, he said, I would take this fight again whenever they're ready, because I believe maybe I didn't quite take it quite seriously enough. I was sold a pup in a way, but properly prepared, I think I beat him quite comfortably.
Okay. Interesting. Let's move away from this fight. Let's talk about other fighters, other fights that we're potentially going to see. First of all, Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk confirmed for December 21st. We've seen the undercard confirmed yesterday as well. I do want to ask you, Tyson did an interview with the Undisputed, and he spoke about when leading up to the fight, there was still concern about maybe the cut opening up for a second time in sparring. So maybe he didn't have, not that he said that, but maybe it was 100% going into that fight. There was no cause for concern in regards to the cut, obviously, on the night. Do you feel like this training camp for this fight is going to be different to the last one?
Well, I hope the camp's different, because I think he just regarded Usyk as small. He tended to patronise him, and I think he thought, however clever he is, you know, a featherweight's not going to beat me. Why should a cruiserweight, and a small cruiserweight at that? So I think he underestimated him physically. I thought if the worst came to the worst, he thought I can use my weight, lean on him, wear him out, and give him a hard physical time. Usyk was too clever for that. He's quite difficult to pin on the ropes and lean all over. He's gone. And yes, I think he wasn't, if not physically right, I don't think he was mentally right for the fight. But I do think you were right when you said there could have been a lingering, nagging doubt about the cut, because it was a very short recovery time. And he has cut from time to time, and I think there was probably a niggle there. You know, I've got to be a bit careful with it, which might have explained the way he boxed in the first few rounds. But in my view, not in everybody's view, I thought the first 5 or 6 rounds was his best part of the fight. He was showing off and he was showboating, but he was landing, whereas Usyk, as usual, was starting slowly and working him out. And I thought he was, you know, significantly ahead at half time. But then when the going got fierce later, perhaps he wasn't properly conditioned to deal with the onslaught.
For Oleksandr Usyk, do you feel like there is more levels to him? I know we've seen the best of the best, but do you feel like in the Tyson Fury fight, because Tyson's such an elite fighter, such an accomplished fighter, that he's probably got more levels than that first fight? Do you feel like Usyk has got more levels to his game? Yes,
he improves pretty much all the time as he rolls along. He adds something to his game. I mean, he's not only a brilliant athletic specimen, so is Tyson Fury when he's fit and somewhere near the right weight. But not only that, but he's very intelligent about his movement, he adds things to his game all the time. He'll bring something different, as he's brought to most of the fights I've seen before. He'll bring something different against Tyson. I'm sure Tyson will bring something different against him. Possibly in Usyk's repertoire will be the thought after that 9th round that if he starts doing that a bit earlier, he might fancy himself to take Tyson out this time.
Just a final one, Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois. It looks like there is a push for that rematch. In regards to the hunger of Anthony Joshua, I think Carl Froch has alluded to it as a silk pajama effect. Do you feel like Anthony Joshua still got the hunger, because he did come out a couple of days later after the loss and said, listen, I'm not going nowhere, I'm here to stay, I want to fight on. Do you feel like the hunger still there, the motivation still there?
I think he might think it is. There has to be whatever the doubt about this, about the people around him, there has to be now a question about his punch resistance. I mean, he gets knocked down once or twice. Dubois is an extremely heavy puncher, but he just didn't seem able to respond to the first punch, and I found that worrying. And if the punch resistance is in trouble, and then he'll be in trouble against Dubois a second time, because Dubois' confidence will be up. And even then, when he took a chance and he got caught by the one shot of consequence from AJ in the decisive round, I mean, he took that. The knees went very slightly, but even as they were going, he delivered the counter punch, which stretched him and won the fight. So you're not going to knock Dubois out easily. Yeah, he rescued his cracked eye socket against Big Joyce, which was derided, especially by Billy Joe Saunders, who did exactly the same later against Canelo Alvarez. He was derided for doing it, but without that, he might not have been in with Anthony Joshua the other night, winning, defending his world title.
This great event is.
I think they are starting the media workout now. Thank you very much, Jeff, for your time. Appreciate your time as well. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Warren.